Hi guys, my name is Ian, an English teacher and IELTS tutor from the UK, and today I want to talk to you about paraphrasing. Now, paraphrasing is a super important skill in the IELTS exam. You need it when you are doing the reading section of the test, the listening, the speaking, and the writing. But today I want to focus on how we can paraphrase in our writing, in the writing section of the test. Specifically, how we can paraphrase questions in part 2, the essay writing task. So let's get started. Now, first of all, we should talk about why paraphrasing is important. Paraphrasing is important because, like I said, you need it all the way through the test, but especially in the essay, by paraphrasing the question in a clear, concise, and direct manner, we can clearly introduce the topic and the idea of the essay and get off to a good start. Also, in your essay, you very often need to paraphrase ideas again in the conclusion once you have given all of your points and reasons in the body paragraphs. Very often you need to paraphrase them in the conclusion. So it's an incredibly important skill. But there are two things that you guys need to make sure that you avoid when you are paraphrasing. The first one, of course, is changing the meaning of the question. We need to keep the paraphrased sentence and the original sentence, the meaning needs to be as close as possible. The second thing you guys need to avoid is overcomplicating things. Very often when I read example essays from students, they take the question or they take an idea, they try and paraphrase it, and they make it far too complicated by adding information that doesn't need to be there. And this is a dangerous thing because what it means is, one, your essay is no longer concise and direct, which it should be. And two, it means that you're wasting words that you could use, wasting words and wasting time that you could use later in your exam when you are giving your reasons, your examples, and so on. So with these things in mind, let's move on and look at some useful techniques for paraphrasing questions. So in front of us, we have an example essay question, and let's take some time to read it together. It says, it is important for people to take risks, both in their professional lives and their personal lives. Do you think that the advantages of taking risks outweigh the disadvantages? So when we are presented with an essay question, the first thing, of course, when we start writing is in our introduction, is we need to paraphrase it so that the examiner, the reader, understands exactly what the essay is about, and we set the tone of the essay. So, let's look at 4 techniques that we can use when we are trying to paraphrase. Now, the first technique is, of course, the use of synonyms. And this is the default technique, or the default thing everybody goes to. They think, if I can just change all of these words and phrases, I have paraphrased. But the problem with using synonyms and just finding an alternative word or phrase is that very often this can change the meaning of what you are, of the sentence. So if you do use synonyms, direct synonyms, you need to be certain that the word or phrase, expression that you are using does not change the meaning of the sentence. So let's take a look at an example paraphrase of this question or this sentence using a few direct synonyms. So here we go. It says, it is crucial for people to take risks, both in their careers and their personal lives. I am of the opinion that the benefits of taking risks outweigh the drawbacks. Now, you can see here, I've paraphrased the word important to crucial, the word professional lives to careers, and advantages to benefits and disadvantages to drawbacks. Now, of course, this is not the most perfect way to paraphrase this question. I'm just giving an example of how you can use synonyms. Now, these synonyms are pretty much direct synonyms of the words that I've changed, and they don't change the meaning. And that's the key point. So I very often see students, like I said, changing the meaning of statements by using synonyms. For example, they might, instead of using the word instead of personal lives, they might say at home or something, which doesn't really make sense. So you need to be careful about using synonyms. But this is one technique out of the 4 I want to show you that you can employ to effectively paraphrase a sentence. So the next technique is, of course, to use the grammar and the structure of the sentence, or to change the grammar and structure of the sentence. And this can be very useful when you're not sure, you either don't know, can't think of, or you're not sure of whether or not synonyms are correct. So taking a look at this technique, we can see this sentence here. And it says, taking risks in both your professional and personal life is important. So here I've started this sentence with a gerund, an ing word, taking risks, rather than saying it is important to take risks. I've said taking risks is important. A very simple change, but an effective technique when you're not sure about synonyms, or you can't think of synonyms. Let's take let's look at one more example of this technique. And let's take a look at a different question. So here is another question from the IELTS exam. And it says, many people today would argue that cinemas are becoming irrelevant due to new streaming services. It is argued, and I have paraphrased it by saying, it is argued that cinemas are becoming irrelevant due to new streaming services. So all I've done here is I've taken the original sentence, which is in active voice, many people argue, and I've changed this to passive. It is argued that. Now, again, this is not the only thing you need to do. It's just one way that you can paraphrase. And maybe it's good, or it is good, to try and combine these two methods. So by changing grammar and maybe changing some of the words by using synonyms. Yes. So let's take a look at the third method that we can use to paraphrase. And the third method is kind of still to do with grammar, but more to do with word formation or parts of speech. And what I mean by this is when we change the form of a word. So we take an adjective and use it as a noun, or a noun and use it as a verb, or we take an infinitive and make it gerund. And this also allows us to change the structure of the sentence. So let's take a look at an example of this. So looking again at our original question, it's important for people to take risks, both in their professional lives and their personal lives, maybe we could start with the importance of taking risks, or let's change it, let's say of being a risk taker in your professional and personal life is clear. So here I've changed the word important, taking it from an adjective to importance, a noun. I've changed the phrase to take risks and use this phrase being a risk taker, not referring to the action here, but referring to the person here. And I've also changed the structure of this sentence as well. So I'm employing kind of two techniques here. And finally, let's take a look at another way that we can paraphrase, and that is what I like to call maybe add some fluff that doesn't change the meaning. And what I mean by that is we can add some sort of introductory phrases or expressions that allow us to change the structure of the sentence or introduce the sentence in maybe a slightly different way. So, for example, we can use phrases like many people believe that, or it is often claimed that, or maybe something like nowadays people often argue that, and then we can lead in to the question. So, you know, in the exam, if you said many people believe that it is important for people to take risks both in their professional lives and personal lives, and you didn't change it at all, that's still better than not paraphrasing. So maybe let's build this. Let's build a really good paraphrase of this question using kind of all four techniques. So we'll start with this expression. Many people believe that. Okay, so we've added something to the sentence and to the question. Let's see, that it is crucial. Again, here we're using the word crucial as a synonym of important, alternative word to important. That it is crucial for people to be risk takers. So here, again, we've gone from to take risk to be risk takers. And what can we say? In both their professional lives and their personal lives. Maybe let's say across their careers and in their let's say instead of across, let's say throughout their careers and personal lives in their personal lives and in their, maybe we can say family life. Actually, let's keep this the same. Personal lives. And this is an important point. You do not have to change every word and every phrase. You just have to change it enough so that you have demonstrated to the examiner that you can paraphrase things and that you can use more than one technique to paraphrase. So let's keep the first part of the sentence as this. Many people believe that it is crucial for people to be risk takers throughout their careers and in their personal lives. Now, the question asks us if we think the advantages of taking risks outweigh the disadvantages. So I think I'm going to continue with this sentence that I wrote earlier here. Now, I am of the opinion that the benefits of taking risks outweigh the drawbacks. But maybe now looking at it, maybe I don't want to use this phrase again because I've used it here already. So it's quite repetitive. So maybe I can change it. I could just say the benefits of maybe the benefits of this outweigh the drawbacks, or the benefits of risking things outweigh the drawbacks. So let's say for this. So here we have a very basic, simple introduction, really. But, and of course, to make it a better introduction, we can add more things to it. We can change it a little bit. And of course, there is a lot more information we should build into a really good introduction. But today, like I said, I want to focus just on paraphrasing, and and here I have shown you that how we can employ a couple of different techniques to paraphrase effectively. So when you're trying to paraphrase a question in your writing part of the test, don't just look for synonyms. Look for maybe one or two synonyms, the ones that you definitely know, and then think about other ways in which you can paraphrase that question. Maybe you can change the grammar, the word formation. Maybe you can add some fluff, so to speak. So before we finish, I want to give you guys a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to give you another question from the essay, another example essay question. And that is, let's move this down a second. That is this one here. So let's put it in the, let's center it. So some people think that social networking sites have a huge negative impact on both individuals and society. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So if you want to, please take some time, think about what I've mentioned in this video and write or paraphrase this question and post it in the comments, and I'll be happy to give you my feedback about what you can improve, what you've done well. So thank you for listening. If you guys need any more advice about the IELTS or general English, I offer IELTS lessons and general English lessons for individuals and groups. Please post in the comments, send me a message, and get in touch. So thanks very much. Bye.